And so this is what I want to tell all of you, is that at the end of the day, our budget is our value statement. What goes in there are the values of the state of Washington has. And it's going to be an extremely tough budget session. It was very hard last year. It's harder this year because of what the federal government has done to us. That's been done deliberately and very, very intentionally. And frankly, it's cruel. And so we have to figure out how we can make sure we're protecting every single Washingtonian. And so the only commitment I can make to all of you here today is that I'm going to try to work hard to make sure that we don't balance the budget on the backs of the most vulnerable in our state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I get so much out of the opportunity to be with you at these sessions. My name is Lisa Wellman. I am a senator representing the 41st. Actually, I say, well, I represent the 41st. I am voted on by the 41st, but I get up every day as chair of early learning and K-12 education in the Senate to make sure that everyone, every child, from birth through our K-12 system has what they need to thrive in the next phase of their life as they move forward. Working very hard on that. I started off as a teacher with specialization in learning disabilities and worked in that space for a brief period of time when I switched to technology. And I tell you about the technology piece of it because unlike others here today, part of what I get to do, which I think is just really an honor, is to work with companies that are starting up, offering things that we haven't had available yet to work with all of you, and working with startups, helping them develop their product and bring it to market, hopefully will make a difference. I'm working with a company called Unique Minds right now, and they have combined the knowledge of the developmentally disabled community with AI. And what is happening is being able to take your coach with you, if you will, on a job will allow many more people to go into jobs and hold jobs that they formerly required to have someone with them. Instead, they can take the someone with them with an AI device and move around their jobs and do that. I think that's going to make a significant change, and that's just one of the many things that are happening. So we're not stopping where we are as a society, as a culture. We are going to beyond, and I think beyond is going to get very exciting, is going to make more people able to go on to jobs, to earn a living, to have the dignity of being out there in the marketplace just like everybody else. So thank you for your time, and we will remember your stories.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jamie Peterson. I represent the 43rd Legislative District, along with Representative Macri, of the center of Seattle, Capitol Hill, Montlake, the University District, downtown Forestville. I am also serving now as the Senate Majority Leader and was most proud this last session to be the prime sponsor of the special education funding bill that helped provide the extra support that we were able to give to early support for infants and toddlers in our budget. We put about, over 4 years, something in the neighborhood of $800 million of additional money in a very difficult budget into special education services because of the stories that we heard from people just like you talking to us about the extra support that you need. We know that it's not enough, and so we'll continue to work on that. But as Senator Dingler mentioned, this is going to be an extremely difficult budget cycle. That's one of the reasons that I think our caucus will be working with our colleagues in the House on long-term changes to our tax system so that we'll have the resources to make the investments in people that you all have talked to us about. Thank you all very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Roger Goodman from the 45th Legislative District, serving with Senator Dingra and Northeast King County. This is only my 18th legislative forum. I don't know if you remember the ice storm many years ago. I wasn't able to make it there. So 19 years ago, I was elected, and within a few days, not even a week, members from your community reached out to me. I didn't know anything about developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities. And so I would say that you are among the best, or in fact, the most effective advocacy community, because you got me. So I want to thank all of you for your stories. You really put a face and a voice to these issues. Very, very compelling, and it really moves us to preserve our priorities and values, which is that we put people first, and we take care of those who are vulnerable and those who aren't able to meet their needs first. So rest assured, despite the budget constraints, that we will hold to those priorities and values.
Hi everyone, I'm here on behalf of Senator Noel Frank. I am but a Lily LA, and I'm also not a standard, but my name is Kelsey. I just want to reflect back some of the things I heard from you guys today, because I would like to show that we're listening, and I want to make sure that you know we're going to bring that back to the senator, because she's not here with her regrets. Definitely, commitments are greater than buzzwords. At the end of the day, I also heard what resonated a lot for me was just emphasis on freedom, agency for every single person in this room, and what that looks like for you. I also want to reflect the intersectionality that I heard in a lot of your conversations, whether that's immigration, whether it's CPS services, whether it's foster care. We have to remember that your lives overlap in a lot of the systems that we talk about as if they're separate, but they're not. So I want to make sure that you know we heard that. I also want to make sure that I know you said that as we're making decisions, you want us to think your story. We will be doing that. I will make sure my senator does that. So, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Usman Salahuddin, and I see a lot of Muslim community members. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So I am the only and the first Muslim ever elected to our state House of Representatives. A lot of what you have shared, a lot of what all of you have shared with us really resonates with me, especially my district is the 48th Legislative District, which includes parts of Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, and the Points communities, and it's over 43% immigrants and refugees, and we need to make sure that as we're investing, we take care of all of our residents in the face of federal attacks. I also see Mahad here, who spoke on behalf of police. He's actually one of my friends. I really appreciate hearing from each one of you the unique experiences that you're facing in your own communities, and how we as legislators and county council members and other representatives can take those stories and really advocate for your voice. I was inspired in just my first year of this session, so I'm only 18 away from Roger right here, to be able to take a lot of my inspiration from my mother. She is a special education preschool para-educator over in Redmond, and I'm truly inspired every single day by the work that she does. I want to make sure that, with Senator Peterson's bill and all of our bill on special education, that we continue that work, continue our investments, even amidst a difficult budget year, and prioritize our investments in the intellectual developmental disability space. So thank you all so much.
I'm Bob Pascal. I'm senator for this legislative district right here, which is very glad to take a step over there. First, I want to acknowledge or thank the leaders who developed the legislative agenda, because to me it's obvious they're acknowledging that we are in a budget crisis. Everything leads off with protect Medicare, preserve care for benefits, protect employment, maintain, don't cut. That's the bottom line, the message that I'm getting from your legislative agenda. That's great. But when we're in a budget crisis, it also provides opportunities to work on other issues. And thank you to all of you for sharing your messages here today. But I got some strong messages sitting down talking with my constituents of the 11th district. You know, there are so many barriers that are just unnecessarily bureaucratic and make life so much more difficult for those of you who already have too much difficulty in your lives. This is an opportunity to try and identify some of those barriers. Let me give you an example. For instance, foster care mother took on an emergency child, special needs child, doesn't know about foster mothering, but the child had issues. Called for some help, was told to call the police. Said, I don't want to call the police. It doesn't raise to that level. Call the crisis center, and the person that comes out did nothing but escalate the problem. Ended up calling the police, the firefighters, an ambulance, when it was totally unnecessary. Training could have prevented that. So let's work on pushing training through all of our service providers. Another issue, somebody was released from Western State. No ID. So when you're released from Western State, you have to go to adult home care or whatever. I mean, to go through the system, you have to have ID. So that just stymied and made life so much more difficult. We could have easily provided ID upon release from Western State. Another one is where somebody who is not very highly functional required to sign paperwork and was refused services but couldn't sign the paperwork, so was just being ping-ponged back and forth. These things drive me crazy. I apologize for some of the colorful language I used at the table earlier, but this is an opportunity to identify all of these systemic things that don't cost money but are just driving you all nuts in one way or another. And I'm sure you're all experiencing those. So my ask going forward from this meeting is that the organizers in this room try and collect some of these stories. Let's identify where these needless barriers and obstacles that each one of you are facing, how we can try and overcome some of those barriers. And let's put some pressure on the administrative side, the executive branch, to identify and resolve a lot of these barriers and make your lives much more easier than they already are. I mean, that was, come on, right? Like, you know what I mean. So anyway, that's all I was saying.
Did we miss anyone? Thank you to all the elected officials for being here and sharing with us tonight. I am now going to turn back over to Holly and Megan.